All right, chat. Hold on. Sorry, I'm getting logged into TOS. Let me get logged in here. Where's my phone? All right, guys. Today we got jobless claims, unemployment filings as well today. Let me get. So I got Quantower up here. I'm trying to exit out of this. There we go. There we go. All right. All right, so Nvidia up to almost 140s though, man. That's a crazy level for it. There's the SPY. You can see the SPY breaking lifetime highs again. Honestly, you got to wonder how many times the SPY and the S&P and the Nasdaq are going to break lifetime highs before it starts to slow down a little bit. Again, Nvidia's driving it though. We're very green again today. Again, mostly on Nvidia, which I'm okay with because I'm in Nvidia, you know. But yeah. All right. I get some music playing. All right. I don't know, bro. Like Epidemic Sounds, dude. Every time. Jobless claims, so they're expected today. We did work yesterday, which I enjoyed, man. They're expected at 236,000 today. So yeah, I'm glad. I took the day off yesterday. All right, so there we go. Yeah. So the question is, does the market want higher or lower claims? Good morning, John. Nvidia this week passed Microsoft as the most valuable company in the world. Did it really? I'm assuming you're talking about market cap over like weight in the S&P or something like that. I'm assuming you're talking about market cap, right? Tesla up to 185s also. Nvidia 10 trillion. Jensen for press. Music works. All right, good. Yeah, Nvidia again, another spike up to basically 140s here, man. Look at this level. I'm gonna look up the news here for us. Today is June 20th. All right, so its annual meeting on June 27th. It recently released its annual review and proxy statement. The meeting on June 26th will include votes on various corporate governance matters and potentially new announcements regarding future products and demand. Interesting. Yeah, what's up, Vish? Hey, thanks, man. All right, so yeah, Nvidia stock reaching all-time highs. Investors anticipate the company's annual meeting June 26th. People are watching for product announcements, executive approvals. Morgan Stanley is upping the S&P 500 price target. So Morgan Stanley CIO Mike Wilson increased his S&P 500 price target by 20%. Now projecting to reach $5,400. It comes after a significant market rally. Plug power rises. TRNR surges, which energy stocks are up, like Exxon, ConocoPhillips. Exxon moved up a little bit yesterday, but they're up some today. It might be time to buy oil stocks too. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I haven't really bought and added a bunch of oil stocks to my portfolio yet, but it might be time to, because yeah, oil stocks are down, you know. I recently tried Perplexity AI on some quick stock analysis, and it came back with some very interesting results. Yeah, I know one thing that I'm about to use AI for is editing. So real estate investment trusts, Lamar, Daito, Construction, Ladder Capital. According to Stock News, CrowdStrike has done well, delivered strong first quarter performance, beating analyst estimates, and continues to show a bright long-term growth outlook. So what's the cookbook for NVIDIA when big tech stops buying their GPUs? Competitors unlikely to come up soon, so maybe when training AI models becomes unnecessary. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I think one thing that's very clear from AI is that we're gonna need stronger chips, right? Like, regardless of what happens with it, I think we're gonna need stronger chips. I think either two things are gonna happen, and maybe both of them might happen, which is that the AI market itself, the amount of computer power we need increases because of AI use case arguments, like, hey, we can use it here, we could use it here, we could use it here, so we need more computer power. That's the first step, right? The other one is basically, even if big tech stops buying GPUs, even if training AI models becomes unnecessary, I still think that it's going to change the sector of computing enough to where we're still going to need NVIDIA chips. It might not be to the point in which we needed them in the previous case, but I still think it's important to... I still think NVIDIA is going to be fine. I'm not saying it's not going to pull back. Is the Bank of England rate decision today? I didn't even know, man. Again, I didn't mind taking a day off yesterday. Did the market move at all yesterday? I mean, this is from, yeah, so this is from Tuesday's. Okay. I assume the market was closed and that nobody else would be trading. NBA rate came in under 7% for the first time yesterday. Sideways, yeah, I think what was open was the NASDAQ. And, I mean, the NASDAQ kind of moved. The NASDAQ started to rise last night. Interesting. At like midnight last night, the NASDAQ was spiking up to over 20K, which I believe is, yeah, so the lifetime highs hit on the NASDAQ hit yesterday at midnight. Yeah, jobless claims today, Chad. 236 is what they're expected at. We'll put a timer up. Wow. See, sometimes that's so strange, bro. That is so weird, man. So, like, look, I put the timer up, and I didn't have to change the time at all. I just had to click play, and it lined up to exactly when jobless claims come out. I didn't have to adjust it just now. I just had to press play, and look, it's exactly right. Strange. Weird. Again, I'm just in tune with the universe over here. Yeah, I know other countries have markets, and yesterday was only because of our holiday. I understand. ES hit as well. Yeah, I mean, the E-mini NASDAQ breaking highs like weird at midnight last night. So less people probably took advantage of it because it was at freaking midnight. How the pre-market price works, is this going to be a driving factor? Sometimes I see stock price go back last day closing price. I mean, we don't know. It might be, it might not be. We don't know. All right, guys. Let's see what else. What's your expectation for jobless claims? I think it'll go up because people lost their jobs. And yeah, I mean, this is. I mean, I don't know, dude. That's kind of been the story, Justin, for the last year plus. Right now, we got to remember jobless claims is a weekly report, and so this is just the change from this week to last week, or actually last week to the week before, technically. But it's a weekly report. It's not something where, we'll see, I guess. But I don't know. Super micro semiconductors. So the question you have to ask yourself is how much have things changed last week to the week before, in terms of jobs, employment, stuff like that. And again, I don't know. I haven't been paying attention that much. We'll see. Super micro semiconductors all the way up to 950s with NVIDIA's rise. This is a move up from about $800 where it was on the 13th. So a week ago it was at $800 roughly, under $800. So, at 780s really. It's now up to 950s for super micro semiconductors, and it's been following NVIDIA up to a certain extent. If we look at SMCI, and then you can see NVIDIA here on the middle chart. Here's super micro semiconductors. If we put a yearly chart up, very strong yearly chart. I don't think they have a super strong correlation. I think NVIDIA is just a different animal, but I do think this latest run on NVIDIA, where it's ran the last 3 days, has influenced super micro semiconductors in a positive way, and that's something that we're seeing some correlation there. Walgreens and Family Dollar, big layoffs. Yeah, I mean, again, those are companies. Walgreens not so much, but Family Dollar, I mean, they're going to see continued falls, in my opinion, based off of just their businesses, man. Like, their businesses are... Like, Family Dollar business is not good. It's not something that's going to succeed long term, in my opinion. It's something that's obviously going to be phased out with technology, unfortunately. And I think that's just very obvious. Yeah, so another really nice day of gains. Yeah, Apex does have a new sale going on, 80% off. So I saw this last night. So 80% off, special lifetime activation fee of $85. I think it's either for all the accounts or for the big ones, which is great. It's cheap. All right, so we do have GameStop. GameStop's still over 24s. It's still around 25s. I still think that's good. Who knows how high this thing's gonna go? Yeah, let me do a poll. I got you guys. Hold on. Let me. Good. Who knows how high this thing? All right. So what's the poll? I think the poll should be. Wait, who got banned already? Courage. Are you the guy asking for a poll? Okay, Nightbot's a little out of control. I'll probably get rid of the spam thing. Kroger's a big company. I like it. Does the market want higher or lower jobless claims today? Higher, lower. There you go. Vote on the poll. Does the market want higher or lower jobless claims? Is there a correlation between NVIDIA and crypto mining? Our GPUs are not as efficient as CPUs, and yeah, I mean, there is a correlation between miners, but it's nothing like the influence of AI, right? So like crypto mining is a thing, but I think crypto mining, you know, even with crypto, is kind of starting to phase out. Not phase out, like people are obviously still going to mine things, but proof of work, you know, proof of stake is becoming bigger than proof of work. And, you know, especially after the halving and stuff like that, I don't know. I just don't know. If you're looking for a boost in NVIDIA price, I don't know if crypto mining is obviously a use case argument for NVIDIA chips, but I don't know if it's going to be a big one moving forward as much as it has in the past, if that makes sense. But again, I'm just speculating. I don't know. Do you think this is new for euphoria? I don't know, man. I like that would imply that it doesn't have a real use case argument that's accurate, you know, and that it's just overhyped. And I don't necessarily believe that. I think that AI really is that big thing, man. I think when you use it, like I use it every day now. I use ChatGPT every freaking day for a lot of different things. You know, it has completely replaced research online to a certain extent. Now it's not perfect, and sometimes I still have to research a little bit deeper, but it's replaced a lot of it. You know, it's replaced a lot of it. When you start to look at how you can use it for editing videos, for building social media marketing campaigns, for business planning, for research into businesses, like it's just really powerful. It's really, really powerful. And so I think it is that next big technology. I think it is that next. I'm not saying Bitcoin mining died. Again, like even when I spoke about it before you said anything, I'm not saying Bitcoin mining died. What I'm saying is that we've already had that run. You know, we've already had that run. We've already had the benefit in NVIDIA from people using their chips to mine crypto. I don't know if we're going to get another big one. I think we've already had one, and I think a lot of crypto is transitioning to proof of stake and stuff like that. But again, there is a level to it that I just don't know. So maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. The thing I'm trying to talk about is like AI really is that next big thing. And I think again, what I always say is, in my opinion, you have to look at how much better things have gotten over the last year and a half. You know, so imagine where AI was at a year and a half ago, and then imagine where it's at now. You know, and then with that, extrapolate that over the next 10 years. And AI is going to cause an exponential growth in a lot of different industries. It's going to grow exponentially itself, I think. And with that, I think a lot of these price increases are justified, you know, but you know, the internet was a justifiable technology in hindsight that did a lot of crazy stuff to the world and is still very used and really was that big thing 25, 30 years ago. But we still had a market crash from it. And so just because AI is that next big thing doesn't mean we're not going to crash. But I do believe it's the next big thing. You know, now whether we crash or not is still arguable. Yeah, so I would argue like I would argue over the last year AI has grown like this, and I think it has the potential to grow like this, you know, moving forward, maybe more than that. So I just think that you have to look at the effects of AI on everything: technology, video games, production of marketing, media, you know, editing, like any way you look at it, you know, content creation. I just think it's going to get better and better and better, and I think that's going to cause it to grow more and more and more. And so in that regard, we might be early. If that's the truth, again, we could be early. But again, I don't know. Like, that's the thing I'm saying. I really don't know. Again, the internet was that big technology, but it still crashed in 2000, and how one of the longest bear markets had followed it after 2000. Now, I don't know if NVIDIA and AI is going to do the same thing. I don't know. We could be here. And AI could be going like this, and so in that regard, we could be early in the trend, but we could also correct heavily from it. Just from any time we get a new technology like that, people get greedy, they get overextended, things go up too much. Nobody wants the train to stop, and so I think I'm trying to be objective and look at it both ways. Bank of England rate decision, is in 5 minutes? Is it really? Okay, so yeah, we do have the interest rate decision. They're expecting a pause at 525 to 525. So the Bank of England rate decision in 5 minutes. They're expecting a pause in rates again at 525. 5.25. However you want to look at it. 5.25. That's what they're expecting, a pause. Yeah, GBT's great. No, I agree. I like NVIDIA. Everybody's saying, you know, I've talked about it before. You know, you get a lot of people that are so sure of everything. And this is, you know, usually what I see is like there's a lot of ego floating around in trading. Sometimes they get mad at me and I'm just the messenger here. You know, like I feel like people act like they know for sure what's going to happen, and nobody does. But I think when we look at NVIDIA and when we compare it to like the PE ratio it had a year and a half ago, the PE ratio stays the same in the last year and a half. And so if the extension argument is there, the PE ratio should have skyrocketed over the last year and a half since NVIDIA price has gone up so much. But one thing that you see is like the EPS and the revenue have followed NVIDIA up with it. And so the NVIDIA PE ratio, the price to earnings, the margins basically that NVIDIA is making now versus a year and a half ago are the same. And so it hasn't, like you would expect the people acting like NVIDIA was super extended. You would expect the PE ratio would go like this, you know, and the PE ratio has gone like this. You know, the PE ratio a year and a half ago was about 60, and NVIDIA PE ratio right now is about 60, maybe 65. And so it might be up a little bit, but it's not up, like it's not hyper extended with 100 plus PE ratio like people are talking about. Now, to be fair, a 60-65 PE ratio is not necessarily good. It's bad. It's conventionally bad. A good PE ratio is like 20 or 30. But I think people are using PE less as a metric. I think if you look at companies like Amazon, they have a pretty high PE ratio and they've still been moving up for years. So I don't know. I think, again, I can see both sides, but I hope I'm in NVIDIA. I'm in it. I hope it goes up, and yeah, I'll probably stay in it. The PE is over 75. You might be right. I haven't calculated the PE on NVIDIA since it's risen to 140, but let me calculate it here. I can look at it right now. And again, I'm talking about not forward PE. All right, so their last PE was 61 cents plus 51 cents or 52 cents plus 40 cents plus 27 cents. $1.80, and then PE 140 and 139 divided by $1.80 Yeah, so their PE ratio is 77. But again, I think we have to look at what they were a year ago. So hold on, let me figure out what they were a year ago. So if we look back at 2023. So again, if we look back at what they were at 2023, in May of 2023, 9 plus 8 plus. All right, so the Bank of England rate decision drops in 10 minutes. Hold on, let me calculate this. Plus 6 plus 5. All right, so it was 28 yearly EPS. All right, so there's the Bank of England rate decision. Let's see what they did real quick, and then I'll finish this. So the Bank of England rate decision just dropped. Okay, so the Bank of England paused, as expected. Bank of England did not raise, they did not cut, they paused interest rates, kept it at 5.25. So I'll put this up on screen, but yeah, they kept it at 5.25. There is the, it didn't really move markets very much. Like, we could put the SPY up. You know, Nvidia and Nasdaq been breaking lifetime highs. Didn't really move markets that much. Not really I mean, it was going to be as expected, most likely. All right, so let's take a look at Nvidia's price back in May of 2023. So Nvidia price was about $27. Let me see. So the calculating level. So it was actually at about 38 in May. So because really it was the 26th, right? It's 5/26 is the date we're looking at. So it was between 38 and 40 really, but we'll call it 38 to be fair. All right. So again, 38 divided by 0.28, 135 PE ratio. If my math is correct, was my math off? Let me calculate it again. 10 cents plus 8 cents plus 5 cents plus 5 cents. 18 plus 523 plus 528. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So, yeah. So really the PE ratio for Nvidia in the last year since May of 2023 has gone down. Has gone down 50%, you know, roughly 50%. And so in that regard, the PE ratio for Nvidia has gotten much better in that period of time. Much better. So, because again, if I calculate the PE ratio a year ago for Nvidia, it's at 136. So, yeah, I mean, again, when we're looking at graphs, I think that makes sense. Like, margins are getting better is basically the point. You know, like bad PE ratio. But, yeah, it's getting better. Yeah, I mean, almost always with rate decisions. They're going to go with what's expected. Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking at forward PE. Yeah, I'm looking at just what they were in that period of time, the last 4 quarters to the date. All right, so the SPY at 550s. Right, like with growth there, you know, I think their margins have gotten better, Their PE ratio is down 50%, which is good. The lower PE ratio, the better, versus where it was a year ago, which means they're for their price, they're making more money per share, which is good, which is good. And again, I think we could be at the very start of AI, like I think we could be at the very beginning. And we might not, maybe we're not, maybe we're hyperextended. I don't know. But I think, I think most experienced people in markets look at stocks and they say, hey, this stock might be extended, but we don't know, and then I think other people get their ego in the way. And I'm not really talking about anybody here because I think everybody here is pretty fair. But other people say, oh, it has to do this. It has to come down. It has to go up. And I just don't think that's true. I think you have to look at both sides and then make a calculated decision on what you think is going to happen. And you can't be too rigid in the stock market, I think. I think, like, when I try to analyze things, I always try to give people, like, both case arguments. Like, with NVIDIA, we could be at the very beginning, and maybe it rises up a lot moving forward, and it has some, like, crazy growth from here, and maybe it corrects massively and starts a stock market crash. I don't know. I think both of those things could happen, but I'm not going to be too rigid in either one. Typically, I'd like to believe that bullishness prevails with NVIDIA, but who knows, man? I don't know. I certainly could be wrong. Right. Some people just say it's up so much it has to go down. Wrong. I think nothing has to happen. I think really it's like every few decades you get a game-changing technology boom in the stock market. You see it with the internet, you see it with the automobile, you see it with a lot of different things. Maybe not the automobile, that's probably a little bit too early of an example. You see it with computers first. You see it with the automobile, you see it with computers, you see it with AI, you see it with the internet. So like every little bit you get a massive boom in technology from technological advancements. Like we get better at stuff, like the technology improves, especially over a period of decades. Technology improves, and so if you can find the right stocks and specifically find the right technology to bet on, you can make money. That's why I've been talking about AI for years. A lot of people on the stream didn't believe in it either, which is surprising because what started me, like I remember looking at as a writer, and I like writing. I hate writing for other people, so like I like writing. I don't like getting paid to write or having limits, time frames that I have to fulfill in writing. That like stifles my creativity. I just don't like it. But I was looking up like Jasper and all these other writers, like AI writing softwares. And that's when I really realized that AI was starting to grow. Once we saw that there's stuff like Jasper and other AI systems that start to write well enough to be undetectable to most people, that's when I realized that AI is getting to a higher level. And this was years ago. And so now when you fast forward a few years, you got to see where ChatGPT and other systems are now. And it's kind of crazy. Again, eventually we're going to get completely editing videos, chopping out, and we're already there, like chopping out the pauses, the ums, the ahs, the mistakes, and then completely editing videos very quickly. Again, which is going to cause an exponential growth in creation of content. Like, we're going to have more influencers, believe it or not, moving forward, if you can believe that. And again, we're kind of already there. We're kind of already there. Yeah, Uber was one of them for sure, definitely. John, what do you think about oil and economics? I want to invest in oil because it's pulled back heavily. I'm skeptical because uncertainty overseas. Now, sometimes uncertainty in overseas areas can cause strength in oil. But I think with the petrodollar risks that we have going on right now, I don't know if I'm for it right now, investing. I think there might be high risk there. But again, I don't know. Typically, oil's pretty consistent and stable, but it's been 40 plus years since we've had that petrodollar deal, and if we're not having that deal anymore, I wonder how it could affect oil. NVIDIA, with that said, over 140s now, chat. Over 140s. sure. Yeah, PC. Yeah, that's true. So PC. Yeah, that was it. So it went PC, followed by internet companies, followed by mobile in the early 2000s. Like I think the iPhone came out and like BlackBerry came out and that caused a run. And then shortly after the iPhone caused exponential growth there. The iPhone came out in like '08 or was it '07? Might have been '06. And that caused massive runs, obviously, in Apple and Samsung. Following that, Samsung followed a few years later. And then we had crypto, really. We had crypto, rideshare. Like, there's technologies that if you get in front of, you can make a ton of money. Now, some of them grow more than others. Like, ride sharing like Uber and Lyft, their stocks haven't done that much. A $12 stock, $13 stock for Lyft, could be better. I think same thing with Uber. Uber's what, $40-$50? Uber's $70 right now. So Uber is kind of, I think something that was very clear even like years ago is that Uber was going to be the winner versus Lyft. Uber is just that company that has the, it's kind of like Kleenex for tissues. Like some people just say Kleenex. They don't even say tissues. They say the brand name, which is Kleenex. Same thing with Tupperware. Like, hey, hand me that Tupperware. It might not actually be Tupperware. It might just be some other brand of plastic containers. But people say Tupperware. Same thing with Uber, right? Uber has ingrained themselves as the top, rideshare company. And so I think when people were first getting involved with that stuff, they just download Uber. They don't even think about other options. And so over time, I think that's going to get worse and worse and worse. And Uber's going to gain on Lyft. Lyft has done okay at keeping up, but if I was them, I would sell the company altogether and figure it out because I don't think that's going to change. Now, I think there could be more than one, but typically, even if they're able to have more than one, typically the leader company grows more, earns more money, spends more money, and eventually the previous one is phased out. And I think that could happen here too. If I'm Lyft, I'm selling my company. Right, exactly, Mikey. The sidekicks, bro. I never had one. I loved them, but I never had one, unfortunately. Yeah, so let's see if NVIDIA can hold the milestone level of 140. See, what I struggle with, like if you guys want to know what I really struggle with, I struggle with producing things after the morning. I'm such a morning person that in the morning, I get up, I have so much energy in the morning, like right now. Like right now, I know it might not seem that way. Sometimes I'm quiet because I'm looking stuff up on the other end. But once that morning energy runs out, usually I'll do jujitsu for a few hours during the day. Maybe that hurts my energy too. And after that, after like 2 or 3 o'clock, I don't know if I should drink another coffee. But I feel like if I do start drinking another coffee, then I'm going to get to a point where I don't even feel the coffee and I'm just doing it to feel normal. So I don't freaking know, man. How do you guys get energy in the afternoon? All right, guys. So Walgreens bouncing up again. I'm in Walgreens right now. I don't know what to do with it. Uber is solid. It's just up a little bit too much for me. We do have Airbnb still green. Tesla still green. ADHD medication is much better than coffee. If you have ADHD, you shouldn't be drinking coffee. I mean, I definitely have ADHD. But again, so coffee's different. Coffee will give me energy, which is great. You know, ADHD medication does not give me energy, though. Like when I take ADHD medication, whether it's like as a child, I was on Concerta, but I've also been on I've also been on a number of different ones. I don't take any ADHD medication now. I take nothing. I don't like being on it. So whenever I take it, I do not get energy. I sit and stare and zone out. And I don't zone out, but I sit there and stare, you know. I'm almost too focused on things. Like I watch, and it's great because, you know, like prior to it, I can't finish a movie or a TV show. I'll watch 30 minutes, turn it off, watch another 30 minutes of a different one, turn it off. And so if I take medication for it, I can finish movies, which is great. But outside of that, it affects sleep. It affects how much I eat. And I just don't like it. You know, never liked it. I can hyper focus on things I'm interested in. You know, the problem is that everything's not interesting. And we do have monotonous, boring, you know, redundant things that I have to do daily that I don't like doing. And so sometimes those are hard to focus on, but thus is life. I'll be all right. Right. I just like, I'll drink coffee in the morning. Get a little, yeah. Check your T levels. I actually went, so my wife and I are probably going to have another kid. And so I'm not going to get on, TRT or anything like that right now. Maybe in the future but like for now I'm not. But my levels when I went last time were like 670s, 680s, which for my age are great. So I don't really need to get on them right now. And the problem with getting on TRT is that I won't be able to have kids, you know. So, yeah, I'm going to wait. Pre-workout? Yeah, I've had pre-workout before. Taekwondo, yoga, spiritual meditation. Yeah. I have 2 kids. Yeah, gold's still moving up. But the point is, my levels were pretty good, you know. So like, I don't even need TRT, really. And as well, when you add to the fact that we're probably going to try to have another kid. I don't know.
we're still young enough to where we can consider it, so I'm not going to rush into anything yet. I would start with your bases and make sure. I mean, what I've contributed to be honest, AD, like the afternoon crash. Yeah, I see Pawn talking about it as well. I think it's a real thing. I think what it really is like in the morning I get up, I drink coffee. You know, in the morning I get up, I work, I drink coffee, I work for 4 hours, 5 hours sometimes. I stop work. I go to jujitsu, which is a very physically taxing thing. Like jujitsu's tough. Like it's not. Like rolling, like sparring with people, very tough, like very energy consuming, very cardiovascular heavy. And so I go do that. I come home. Once I do that, I'm tired, man. I'm tired. I've worked all morning. I've been up since 5 a.m. I've gone and I've worked. I've exercised. So I think usually in that situation, if I want to continue to have energy, I'm gonna have to drink more coffee, which is the problem. I don't like drinking more coffee. And so usually I just kind of crash in the afternoons. Yeah, NVIDIA, I mean, the whole market's been ripping up, breaking lifetime highs. Hey, look, so here's the SPY. SPY broke lifetime highs. Again, everything was weird. So I don't know if the SPY was open yesterday or not. I know the NASDAQ and the S&P broke lifetime highs. Let's see if it even registers. No, so okay, so yeah, so the NASDAQ, here's the NASDAQ 100 futures contract. What you'll see is that last night at midnight, this thing ripped up and broke over 20,000 last night at midnight. So last night at midnight, the NASDAQ 100 made a move up. Like, look at this move that happened basically right at midnight Eastern time. And so we had this huge move on not just the NASDAQ 100, but also the S&P 500 futures contract ripped up at midnight and broke lifetime highs again. You know, so we keep breaking lifetime highs. I don't think this can continue to happen though. I think eventually we're going to get some corrections, and so just be careful. I haven't been buying up stocks like I used to. You know, like I just haven't been buying up stocks like I used to. Yeah, Celsius. Celsius is just up too much for me. Again, I'm not really buying up stocks right now. At least not tech stocks. Like tech stocks I've been avoiding. I think now's the time to buy up other stocks. But I'll question if we do get a correction in tech, is that going to influence everything else negatively and drop every other stock? And I don't know. I think that's the risk right now for buying up things. I would prefer a small correction beforehand, you know. I mean, I'm in NVIDIA. I've been holding NVIDIA since before it broke over 1,000, or in this case, 100 post-split. So yeah, I've been in NVIDIA. But again, am I adding more to NVIDIA right now? No. And maybe that's a mistake. I don't know. I'm just kind of sitting in my current position with it. All right, chat. Again, NVIDIA at over 140s. The lifetime highs for NVIDIA, I believe right now, are 136s here. So I believe the lifetime highs are around 136. Now, it doesn't register for lifetime highs until market opens, right? So if we can hold up here, it's going to be breaking lifetime highs at the opening bell. Again, we'll see. We got about an hour left until that happens. All right, guys. So I'm gonna mute this real quick. What's the next sell for NVIDIA? I don't know. I really don't know. People holding NVIDIA at these levels are gambling, in my opinion. It depends. I'm holding NVIDIA at much lower levels. So, yeah, I think buying into tech is risky right now. Oh yeah, tomorrow's tomorrow is quad witch day. I forgot. It is quad witching day tomorrow. Yeah, so tomorrow is quad witching day, I'm pretty sure. Is Soundhound? I'm in Soundhound right now. Soundhound's not up, it's down. It's up a little bit this morning, but it's down so much that I don't know if I tried. Quad witching day. So quad witching day is a historical day of volatility in which all major contract types expire. It used to be 4 major contract types, which included stock futures, index futures, stock options, and index options. Now there's no such thing as stock futures. Wouldn't that be great if there was, though? So imagine how you can trade. Futures right now. Right, so I can buy the S&P and the NASDAQ, day trade it in futures, no PDT rule, instant settlement, no margin account. Like I can basically day trade the S&P and the NASDAQ right now. Imagine how great it would be if stock futures were still a thing. So imagine if I could just buy Tesla futures and day trade the price action of Tesla with no PDT rule. It would be great, honestly. But they got rid of stock futures a while back, so there's no such thing as stock futures. So technically, it's only triple witching day. But yeah, tomorrow's triple witching day. Stock options, index options, and index futures expire tomorrow. Somebody's asking me, you're not holding Roku. No, I don't like Roku. If you guys remember, I've been talking about this for a long time. I do not trust Roku. I do not like Roku. Roku is simply too replaceable. I've been saying this for like 3 years now, and honestly, in hindsight, I was absolutely correct, man. Roku was at 490s back in freaking 2021. I've been saying this for years since then. Again, the issue I've always had with Roku is it's too replaceable. It's simply too replaceable. You know, like, listen, hardware is phasing out for Roku. People don't need their hardware anymore. Software is becoming the next big thing with Roku. And the problem with software is that it's very easy for these TV companies like Samsung and Sony or whomever to create their own version of Roku, cut out the middleman, and just have their own version. Like, Roku's not a super unique technology. It's just not. Most of these companies, like these TV brands themselves, they want the data that comes with it. You know, like that's what they want. They want the data. And so they're not going to hand over the data to Roku if they can avoid that. And so instead, what are you going to see? You're going to see them create their own software versions of Roku. You're going to see them create their own version of Roku. It'd be pretty simple to build their own version of Roku, make it come in-house with the TVs, and cut out Roku very easily, right? And I think that's something that we're kind of seeing over time. Roku's becoming less and less used. Its price is dropping massively too. Now it doesn't mean it's gonna fail. Like certain people still definitely use Roku, but I just don't trust it. It's not a company that I want to invest in long term. And yeah, we'll see. Again, it's just not a company I want to invest in long term. I think eventually the TV companies, and I think you're seeing this already. I think the TV companies already are doing this where they're creating their own Roku-like software. Back when internet was first becoming like a big thing, you had browser companies that would sell you browsers at the store. Like you could go to Walmart and buy. The first one was a company called Netscape. I've told this story before, but first one was a company called Netscape. And what Netscape specifically would do is they would sell you browsers. So you could buy a Netscape browser for X amount of money, and you could come home, install it on your computer, and then you could open it up, and it would lead you to different places on the internet. It would add convenience to your internet experience, and it would show you different sites. It was kind of like AOL or something like that, and they would sell that, right? And prior to Netscape, companies would IPO, and they would usually typically have to have a couple good years of profit, of good EPS profits before they were allowed to IPO. Not really allowed, but before it was like the standard where companies and where these firms would allow them to IPO really. And so when Netscape came out, Netscape IPO'd pre-profit, like before it was actually profitable. And it was one of the first companies to do it like that, and it was wildly successful. Netscape IPO'd, it made billions of dollars from its IPO, and it ultimately changed the landscape of IPOing. Like historically, companies wouldn't IPO until they were profitable. After Netscape, it changed the standard, so companies would start IPOing. But yeah, so what happened was that Microsoft went up to Netscape, and they were like, yo, we want to work with you. We want to partner with you. Like, partner with us. We'll include Netscape with our computers, blah, 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 right? Netscape was like, no, I don't want to share my profits with you. I'm not going to share my profits with you. We're our own company. And so it sparked basically a war with Microsoft. What Microsoft ended up doing was Microsoft ended up including their browser, the Internet Explorer browser, which if you're old enough, you remember Internet Explorer. Microsoft started including that completely free with their operating system, with their computers, basically completely free with the Microsoft operating system. And so very quickly, Netscape went from one of the most successful companies in the world to very, very small company. Eventually they were bought out, I think, by AOL for like $3-4 million, a company that was worth billions of dollars. And so Microsoft, with that one move of saying, okay, you don't want to work with us, fine, we're going to start including Internet Explorer browsers with every Microsoft operating system for free. And so nobody wanted to buy a Netscape browser if you could get Microsoft's for free. And so nobody bought Netscape after that, and the company ultimately failed. So yeah, that's a big Wall Street story. It's a very famous Wall Street story, but it kind of goes to show, you got to make the one wrong move, man. One wrong move. All right, so I'm going to mute this music for a second here. Yeah, we got about an hour here, chat. We got about an hour. So Birdman's talking to a bunch of inmates, right? And so he says, hey, I got enough power to help y'all. And so the inmates say, understandably so, they say, okay, well, look, we need literature. We need books. Birdman responds with, do y'all think books are going to help you? Of course they're going to help them, Birdman. Like, what are you talking about, dude? They're in jail. Like, of course they want books. If I was there, I'd want books too. They want law books specifically. You're not about to buy each of them an attorney. So give them some law books, man. Yeah, but just keep in mind what can impact demand. It's not just competition. Yeah, for sure. Recessions, depressions, you know. I don't think we're near that, but again, GDP next week. I think GDP drops next week. Oh, no, PC. Yeah, GDP drops next week. Second revision GDP drops next week, June 27th. So, yeah, we'll see. Nvidia right now looks like Tesla when we're selling cars at 60K during their hype. Yeah. Different company. Way different company, though, brother. You know, the difference is that, you know, like, the difference with Nvidia is that AI could be on the very beginning of, like, right on the cusp of success. You know, if AI becomes more and more adopted, and I don't think it has nearly as many, like, to get broad EV adoption, you're going to need a lot of stuff to happen, right? And it's going to be a tricky thing to get done. Like, get people to accept EVs, very difficult thing to happen. AI, I think, is already pretty widely accepted, and it's going to grow more and more and more. All right, guys, we got an hour here. We got an hour. Looking at our poll numbers here, we asked people, does the market want higher or lower? Claims 56% think higher, 24% think lower, 20% say, I don't know, see results. So, yeah. I think the market might fear inflation, to be completely honest. I think that's what the market might fear is inflation. I think the market could simply fear inflation. We'll see, but yeah. Yeah, so I'm watching, and again, guys, this is what you have to be careful about, right? Like, I'm watching these guys that mostly came from the AOZ GameStop community, and I'm watching them, and some of them are trying to cover the FOMC meeting, right? But they don't really understand the difference, right? So you see how some of them are just kind of saying, like, I see some of them with Powell and the rate hike. It's like, bro, this was not a rate hike, dude. I think a lot of them don't understand the difference. You know, I really think a lot of them just don't understand the difference between what a rate decision is. Really, it's a decision. It's not a hike. A hike was freaking a year ago. But I think a lot of them don't understand. They just simply don't understand. They're covering it, but they don't really understand it. I think it's important to, whoever you watch, make sure they understand it, regardless of whether it's me or not. Yeah, so Nvidia is sitting just under 140, so it didn't hold. They probably do know. They just want to scare their viewers into watching their videos and streams. I don't think so. I think anybody guessing that they were going to raise rates a week ago has no idea what they're talking about. No idea what they're talking about. You know, you get people like, I really think that they think rate hike in general is, I think they think rate hike. I don't think they really know, to be completely honest. By gauging it, I don't think they really know. I think they're just trying to look. I think, to be completely honest, I think they probably look at my channel or channels like mine and they see us get views covering these FOMC meetings. And so they say, okay, well, I want to get views covering it, right? But they don't really understand it. And so they're just kind of, you know, that's my guess. I might be wrong, though. Self-drive EVs just need their chat GPT moment. Yeah. Again, I think there's more roadblocks, though, in the EV sector if we're looking at it objectively. I think there's more hurdles. I think it's harder to get adoption for EVs. You know, big oil runs the world, man. And big oil does not, like, I don't care what they say. Like, again, I've talked about it before. Big oil certainly sees EVs as a threat. You know, and I think a lot of people are really kind of regurgitating big oil talking points. And they don't really realize they're just kind of, and again, I'm not really against it. Like, I think EVs have good and bad things about them. But I think if big oil is smart, they recognize the threat that EV is, you know? And so, of course, big oil runs the world. I think it's going to be hard to get a lot of these EVs approved. You know, I also think, like, look, EVs are great. I think they're simply more efficient vehicles in general. But I think mining lithium is incredibly environmentally taxing. It's really taxing to mine lithium. And so, I don't know. A lot of people are talking about hydrogen vehicles now. And we'll see what that looks like. Alright guys, we got over 500 people here already. Y'all hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, chat. We appreciate it. Tech sector, no volatility, heavy in cash. Yeah. Get an E-mini at 5580s. 5580s. Yeah, so John Lewis, what are you typing, man? So I'm looking at it. I'm looking back at the chat logs. It's almost like, are you using AI to write this stuff? Like, you're just making lists with commas. So you're saying no volatility, heavy in cash, self-bank, overlooking interest rate issues, biotech, longevity, quantum supremacy, Wizard of Oz, behind the curtain, holy veil, true or false, superposition. It's hard to tell whether you're using some type of AI software to just, explain it to me, bro. Explain it to me because I'm curious. So you already just got in trouble for faking quality documents. EVs are slowing down because the government doesn't know how to get charging up and running. Yeah, I mean, charging, I don't know, man. I don't think it's that big of an issue, to be honest. But again, I don't have an EV, so I mean, that's where my bias stems, I guess. Yeah, Bitcoin is up today. It's up to 70K. Looks good. Yeah, so again, we're 50 days out from Tesla's robotaxi event, too. I think that's going to influence AI. The robotaxi thing, if they accomplish that, the robotaxis, meaning like what I would assume the word robotaxi implies is completely self-driving without a driver. You know, that's what I would assume. Now, maybe I'm wrong here. You know, again, I haven't really... Yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but EV charging is a huge issue range. Yeah, I don't know, Rocky. Yeah, to be honest, so I'm gonna put what's his name in timeout because John Lewis seems to just be spamming AI. Like AI, like everything he says is GameStop equals this, this equals this. It's just weird. I'm not sure what he's doing. So we're just gonna ban him, or not ban him, but put him in timeout because I can't tell what he's doing there. All right, guys. Hey, we got 40 plus minutes left still until jobless claims numbers come out. What do you think will happen in gold market? Unemployment claims in 30 minutes? Yeah, so we got about 40 minutes. Depends on what the numbers show up as. I'm not sure if they're going to go up, down, or sideways. No idea. Yeah, Bitcoin is up to almost 70K. It looks great. So there was this dude that was mining a Bitcoin a day in 2011. Wouldn't be nice. All right. Wait, did Justin Timberlake get arrested for DWI? I don't know, man. Euro, how do you display your TA on the professional platform? I mean, sometimes. Yeah, tons of... Morning, brother. Thoughts on Chipotle hitting new highs at almost 3.5K? I think it's time for them to split. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of Chipotle, to be honest. Like, I think their nachos could do better. You know, they could be better. But again, it's subjective, of course. Sound might pump today on McDonald's AI order news. Yeah, I mean, I'm in sound, but it's very weak lately. I mean, it's up a little bit. It's up to 420 in price, but it's just not holding very well, unfortunately. Do you think we'll see a significant correction in the NASDAQ this year? It's an election year. Typically, election years are strong. I'm not sure. All right, so we are going to day trade some today too, guys. Let's get ready. All right, so let's try to day trade. I'm going to buy this dip. This is a funded account on Apex. We're going to add more to it. We got 2 contracts here. We're looking to attack chop. Want to give it time. I don't mind taking a little risk here, but we will trade different if it just doesn't hold. I'm going to cut half of this, limit my losses when we're bouncing back here. So we're down less than 200 now. I want to give it time to bounce back if it can, but I'm not going to be too stubborn with it either, I think. There we go. I'm going to cut it here. We were down like $300 at one point. $120 loss is pretty small. I'll cover it there. I do believe in choppy behavior ahead of big economic reports. So I think maybe we'll get some other moves. We also got Quant Tower up. So let me pull this up here. Yeah, typically more volatility. I don't know. Sometimes we get less volatility too. It really just depends. Is it worth taking shares out of my SMH to put in NVIDIA? I mean, I'm not sure, brother. I think NVIDIA's... It depends. I don't know, man. Again, I really don't know. I hope NVIDIA continues to rise, but I certainly don't know for sure. Yeah, and again, I bought Apple back there too, man. Again, it's very strange. Like, one thing that you notice, and this is something that's truly wrong, and maybe it's just this year, but the bears are almost always wrong. You know, like whenever bearish, now is if we're talking about blue chip companies, typically the bearish traders are wrong. Like they said, Apple 3 weeks ago, they said was going to get moved out of the Magnificent Seven and how it was just no longer a good company, which again, at the time I criticized it and said that's a ridiculous statement. Apple since then has gone from like 170s, 180s, all the way to 200 plus, up to 220s at one point. Apple's one of the healthiest, strongest companies in the world. Acting like it's going to fail because it had one bad reaction to earnings, it shows a lack of experience, I think. Remember, we did get the rollover. Now we're at U, so it's the NASDAQ is NQ here. This is a so I guess I probably could have held this. You know, I usually like to attack choppiness though. Still got over 30 minutes left until the data comes out. Again, what's your predictions here, chat? 236 is was expected. The question is, what does the market want? Does the market want more or less jobs? I don't know, man. I think either one could happen. Less is what is needed. Yeah, I mean, less economic growth typically means less inflation problems, and that's a great thing. And I think the market has been in deep inflation problems for the last few years. And so I don't think, I don't think it's a bad thing to have. It depends on what we fear. If we fear inflation, less jobs is better, right? If we fear economic weakness and depressions and recessions, then less jobs is worse, right? And conventionally, obviously, we want more jobs. But right now, we're not really the most conventional in terms of what the market's fearing. Right now the market fears inflation, and so I think less jobs has equaled positive responses in markets, but I do think it varies. I don't think this is a weekly report, and so I think it could go either way, really. We got almost 600 people here live, chat. We still got 30 plus minutes. I'm trying to look at the rest of my portfolio here. We're still pretty green on the day, pretty green. I do think things are up a lot overnight. Again, the S&P, the NASDAQ both basically broke lifetime highs right at midnight, at the stroke of midnight last night. S&P, NASDAQ both broke lifetime highs, and so I think extension there is a factor. Yeah, all good, Luke. Hey, what's up, Beach? Waymo does more. Pick one Magnificent 7 stock through recession. Which one isn't? Only one choice. One Mag 7. I don't know. I don't know. through a recession. Let me take a look. So I would go with Amazon. Through a recession, I would go with Amazon. Why Amazon? Because I think Amazon's going to be the most resilient and the less volatile. Amazon, people are always going to use Amazon regardless of whether we're in a recession, depression, or not. And so people are going to order products from Amazon. The convenience factor means people aren't going to waste gas to go to stores. Yeah, I pick Amazon in that situation. What do you guys think? Which Mag 7 stock would you pick through a recession or depression? Higher claims today? Yeah, I mean, it's a weekly report, chat, so we'll see. I'm waiting for it. Dixie to previous highs? Yeah, that typically means the market's dropping. All right, so we are going long here. I'll probably hold this position a little bit longer. So we are green on the day, or flat at least. Now we're green. 75, 80. I'll go ahead and cut it up there. So I was going to let it run a little bit more, but yeah, we're up $30 on our funded account today, $30. We'll see if we continue playing with it. You know what? I'll go ahead and buy this again. Lower claims, market's going to dump. Maybe. I don't know, man. I don't think anybody really knows, and I think confirmation bias plays a big factor with what people bet on in these situations. What I mean by that is, like, I think people say what they want to happen. Like, if they want the market to pull back, that's what they say. If they want the market to go up, that's what they say. But I don't think it's that easy. I think, especially weekly reports like jobless claims, nobody knows what this report's going to show up as. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to take a swing on this account. This account's been sitting for a minute now. I don't mind letting it work. And I do think we could get choppiness over the next 26 minutes. So we're going to take a couple contracts here. See if, again, this account's kind of going to be sitting, so I don't want to waste it. Or I don't want to waste the money, I guess is a better way to put it. Well, somebody knows, right? Insiders know for sure, but that's not us. We're going to take half off here, just lock that in. We'll let the rest ride, maybe add back to it. We're green pretty much everywhere. All right, big pop up here. Really nice. I'm going to add to this. Fix my average sum. All right, so GameStop did bounce at the bottom here. Look at NVIDIA chop up. I guess I'm going to close this down. I don't know yet, though. We'll let you know what happens in this account. In this account, we'll pull this account back up here. I like to trade chop is what I've been doing. So I like to trade neutral, choppy behavior leading into economic reports. Now, maybe today's report's not big enough. We do have quad witching day later on today, though. Yeah, so we're still in this position on the quant tower. We're basically flat again. I don't know whether I should limit my risk and cut it or what I should do. I'll think about it. All right, there we go. We're popping up. So that's good. So now we're basically flat in that position on quant tower that we just showed. Remember, so Apex, guys, has a new sale that went live yesterday. Their sale is this, okay? So Apex's sale is now this. 80% off everything. Special $200 price for, special $200 price for, I believe it's the 150K, 200K, and 250K one, but I might be wrong. Yeah, so it's special price of $200 for both the 150K, 250K, and 300K. Now that's $200 minus 80%, right? So it's 200 times 0.2, which is $40. Special price right now, $40. So you can get the big ones right now. Again, the 150, 250, and $300,000 challenges on Apex for $40 right now for all of them. Again, what Apex does is they give you a demo. They test your skill with a demo account first. If you could pass the test with a demo, they fund you the same amount. So the 150K one, they're going to give you a $150,000 demo account in futures. And this is futures right here. So I can day trade the NASDAQ, the S&P, and futures. Basically the SPY and Q price action. There's no PDT rule. Patterns are very similar to blue chip stocks. But yeah, they give you a demo. They test your skill. The base one here is 150K. It's $40 right now. If you can make 9K in profit on that 150K demo day trading without losing 5K first, reasonable ratio, they fund you 150K with a 90% split. And the best part is that if you lose, you're only down $40. You're only down what you pay for it. You know, great way to learn how to day trade with limited risk. And most day traders lose. And it comes with $55 value in real-time data fees. So you get real-time data with these accounts as well. If you bought a paper trading account, it might cost the same amount here. Like if I buy real-time data online for futures, it's going to cost about the same here. It's a good value. It's a great way to learn how to day trade. It's $40 for the 150K challenge. Again, if you pass it, you get 150K in funding with a 90% split. And if you pass the 300K one, you get 300K in funding with a 90% split. If you lose, you're out $40. It's the best of both worlds. Limited risk, but if you pass it, you still get a 90% split once you're funded. So it's similar to putting the money up yourself in that regard. It's just a better way to learn how to day trade, in my opinion. Just a better way to learn how to day trade. Less risk, similar reward, and it teaches you how to trade under pressure. You're still risking something with $40, but you're not risking thousands and losing thousands like I did in the beginning. And so if you want to check it out, great way to help support the channel. Again, all right, guys. So yeah, so if you want to check it out, here is the link. They are a sponsor, of course. I'm biased because they pay me money, of course. So I'm biased. They pay me money. But if you want to check them out, there is the link. Great way to help support the channel. Understand CFTC 4.41, hypothetical or simulated performance, have limitations, all that good stuff. Check it out. No, I'm not in super micro semiconductors. There's the link right there in chat. But yeah, no, I'm not in super micro. Yeah, I was hoping we would get choppiness today, but it doesn't look like we're going to, unfortunately. So I lost a little bit on the quant tower trade, and that's all right. We're getting a big breakdown. It probably is because things broke lifetime highs this morning. Kroger just released earnings here. Kroger just reported earnings early this morning. They posted first quarter adjusted EPS 143, beat the estimates of 135, revenue of 45.27, expected 45. even basically. So reaffirm guidance. So Kroger is a grocery store slash like store here, like store chain. They're gapping up to $54 a share. I don't know enough about Kroger to really invest in them personally, though. What do you think the news will be for gold? I don't know, man. It depends on what jobless claims show up as, and we don't know. Gold's up a little bit today. I'm in gold. Gold's had a great year, really, the last 52 weeks, and really even 2024 has been pretty solid for gold. It started the year off at about 2,000. It's up to 2350s, so pretty good percentage returns for gold this year. Trying to find a job in New Jersey is difficult. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's such a subjective thing. It depends on where you are. Really depends on where you are. All right, guys, we still got about 20 minutes left. 20 minutes or so. It depends on the type of job. All right, so we did get a little pop-up. NVIDIA very flat and choppy leading into this report as well. I don't know if it's from this report or not, but we're getting choppiness there too. So 1 year ago on the 18th, the Ocean Gate submersible went missing on its way to visit the Titanic. Has it really been that long, bro? That feels like yesterday, dude. Man, time's going by quick, guys. Time's going by fast, team. That was a year ago that the Ocean Gate submersible. All right, so again, market's testing lows. NVIDIA is trying. Let's check it. Buying or selling. It's time for bad news to be bad news. Yeah, I mean, we've had a backwards market. What they mean by that, if people don't understand what they mean, so bad news is bad news. So to understand the nuance of markets over the last few years, right, you have to understand the situation. So in 2020, Fed did QE. They printed money. They brought interest rates down. They do this to stimulate spending in struggling economies, right? The economy was struggling from 2020, so the Fed stepped in. They did QE. They stimulated spending. They printed money. They sent out stimulus checks. All of these things contributed to lower interest rates so that people would spend more, but more spending equals what? Inflation. So inflation skyrocketed post 2020. in the pandemic because the Fed stepped in and tried to save the economy through QE, money printing, and stimulus checks. So one of the consequences was inflation. Inflation skyrocketed. Right, following those years in 2020 and 2021, inflation spiked up to almost 10%, which is ridiculously high. And again, that's what people are still struggling from to this day. You know, people think because I say we're not in a recession or depression that the economy's all good and rosy. It's not. Inflation has really impacted people negatively over the last few years. And so in that regard, people fear inflation, and they have for the last 3 years, which is kind of backwards. When people fear inflation, they fear economic growth. So anything contributing to economic growth is seen as a negative. So including like employment, like low unemployment can be seen as a negative in a super high inflation fearing market. Less payroll numbers can be a positive in an inflation fearing market. Lower GDP data could be a positive in an inflation fearing market. Kind of backwards to convention. Kind of good is bad, bad is good. Like lower unemployment is seen as a negative. Higher payroll numbers are seen as a negative, right? So anything that contributes to more spending can be seen as in a negative light. Backwards to convention, which is conventionally, you know, low unemployment is good, high payroll numbers, high GDP is good. You know, conventionally those things are true. Over the past like 3 or 4 years, really has been the opposite. Past 3 years really has been the opposite, which is the market fears inflation. So anything contributing to more spending is bad. It's backwards land, is what, you know, people refer to it as. And so again, people are basically saying at this point now, it's time to go back to normal convention. Like it's time to go back to, we want economic growth. I don't think so. I think the market fears inflation as it should. Inflation doesn't go down. So once prices go up, you're stuck with them. And so if we don't do everything we can to combat that and make sure we get good, reasonable inflation numbers, then people are really going to be unhappy. If you think people are unhappy now because prices have gone up so much in 4 years, imagine if they go up another 10 or 15%, people are going to be freaking out. And so, I don't know, man. I'm one of those people who think, hey, let's keep interest rates high. Let's discourage spending. Let's combat inflation. But again, people get a lot of pressure from like the real estate community mostly, like real estate agents, mortgages, lending in general. Like they want low interest rates. So they want low interest rates even if it comes at a cost of inflation. And I'm the opposite. I want low inflation even if it comes at the cost of real estate. Honestly, right now is the time to buy real estate anyway, personally. But yeah, that's basically what we're talking about. Yeah, but again, so somebody said, so Detra said, don't forget they printed during a global shutdown, which impacted production, which created high levels of inflation. Yeah, I mean, you gotta understand though. There's two options in that situation: recession, depression. Which again, if that happened, you better believe people would be complaining about that, right? They would be saying, "Oh, the government's not doing anything. You know, the Fed's not doing anything." That's what they would say. And so then, when the Fed does do something and they bring interest rates down and they stimulate spending, then people get upset about that. So you gotta understand, like, no matter what, people are gonna be People are gonna be unhappy in that situation, no matter what. You know, so it's kind of a pick your poison event. Like, either way is not good, but one's better than the other. And again, I guess that's subjective. I would argue it's better to prevent a recession, depression, let the market thrive, let businesses come back and bounce back, and, you know, deal with inflation afterwards. I would argue that's probably the better path, but it's certainly subjective. Some people would say, hey, just rip the Band-Aid off, let us hit a recession, depression, combat inflation, and, you know, but again, businesses are going to go regardless of which one that is. It's a tricky subject. No, I know. I'm not even saying I disagree with you, Detra. He said I was explaining why inflation got abnormally high because the government always prints, but typically doesn't go abnormally high, and that's because in the past we didn't face production issues. Yeah, for sure. So again, people like to blame the government for everything, you know. But again, what I notice is that a lot of people don't really understand. You know, a lot of people don't understand what a recession is, what a depression is, like what the real problems that our country faces are. Like most of the time, they're kind of regurgitating political talking points on both sides. You know, on both sides. But you got to look deeper. In the end, the pandemic was the pandemic. Like, there's nothing we could do about it. You know, either way, it's going to cause unhappiness. And so, And is that the government's fault? Not really. I think were mistakes made, sure. But it's a tough situation to begin with, I guess is the point. Stimulus checks messed up things. Yeah, but I mean, I would argue there's other people who needed those, So I think it's a tough spot, tough situation. All right, guys, we got 9 minutes. 9 minutes. We got about 900 people here live. Hit the sub button, hit the notification bell, chat. We appreciate it. Let's keep the growth up. Apex Trade Evade servers are down. Are they really? Mine seems to be working. Here, I'm logging in now. I'm gonna see if mine's working. I'm pretty sure mine's working. Here's mine. Try to buy it here. Yeah, I mean, see, mine seems to be working fine. Fails looks fine. Yeah, so my trade evade my trade evade's fine. Quant Tower seems to be working as well. Might just be your end. Historically, what happens when the jobless claims is high? Well, right now, jobless claims can mean a positive thing. Higher jobless claims means more people filing for unemployment, ultimately less spending, and less inflation problems moving forward. Now, it doesn't always mean that. It depends on what the market fears. Market could fear economic growth, and if it does, then jobless claims being high is a positive. If the market fears recessions and depressions, then jobless claims being high is a negative, right? So it depends on what the market fears, and it's a weekly report, so it can change week to week. It's not the most predictable reaction. Fed is the one that printed all that. Yeah. Fed is the one who printed all that money that caused inflation to begin with. Sure, right? But again, if they didn't, we would have hit a much deeper recession and depression. So you got to ask yourself which one's better. So we're rising up. We're about flat on this position here. I'm buying this dip down here because typically we get flat action. But again, we're going to wait and see. Market's very choppy leading into this report. We got about 6 minutes or so. We got about 1,000 people here live. Hey, y'all hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, chat. I'm going to put it in sub-only mode. All right, so we're in sub-only mode. So everybody announce yourself. Show us your sub. I appreciate the love. Thanks so much. I have no idea, subscriber. Genuinely no idea here. Nobody does either. Like, straight up guess. I have no idea what the number is going to show up as. I'm going to sell this position before the results drop too. Hey, thanks, Jay. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm running into this resistance level, so. Four minutes, chat, 4 minutes. 4.5, really, but. I think, what's up, Rich? Now we're back flat on this position. We're a little green here. All right, look at NVIDIA break highs right ahead of this report, chat. So NVIDIA breaking highs, or yeah, NVIDIA just broke highs. I think it's highs of the day. It got up to almost 141s. No, never mind. It's not highs of the day. Highs of the day are up here at 141.09s. So we still got a little bit of room here. I know you're cautious, but also good at guessing. We've gotten lucky at guessing, I think. All right, guys, 3.5 minutes. NVIDIA's rising. I'm waiting to see if it affects the NASDAQ, which I'm in right now. Long. There we go. We're just gonna go ahead and sell it now. We're up about 65 bucks on the day. I'll take it. All right, 3 minutes, chat. 3 minutes. Yeah, toilet paper holders. Are you gonna take profit for NVIDIA? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. I'll probably stay in at least a little bit of it, though. I have no idea what's going to happen here, chat. Nobody does either. Anybody that claims to know what jobless claims are going to do, and more importantly, how the market's going to react, is just kind of telling you what you want to hear. Nobody knows. You got a 50-50 shot, and so of course if somebody gets it right, they're going to brag and act like they just knew the whole time. But that's wrong. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what the numbers are going to be, and more importantly, what the reaction is going to be to those numbers. I would guess that the market's going to have an inverse reaction, or a positive correlation with jobless claims, actually. So I think the higher jobless claims numbers are, the more positive the market's going to go up. And the lower the jobless claims numbers are, the more downward the market's going to go. Again, straight up guess, though. I should have held, man. I was a little bit off. I don't want to hold too close to jobless claims, though, but we did end up bouncing back like I thought we might. But yeah, here we go, guys. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream. We got jobless claims numbers dropping very soon. Bank of England rate decision is out already as well. We also have housing starts, the Philly Fed index also. So it's not just jobless claims. We got the Philly Fed. We got housing starts. We've got, building permits as well. So we got a gang of data coming out today. So we'll see what happens with housing, Philly Fed, jobless claims, all dropping very soon. All right, 30 seconds, chat, 30 seconds. This timer is a little bit early. Okay, so this timer is a little bit early. It doesn't drop for another 20 seconds or so here. So we still got 20 seconds. Market's rising, though. Look at this market rise. All right, here we go. 5 seconds. All right, here we go. And here's the report live. There we go. There's the drop. All right, so building permits came in lower than expected. Jobless claims came in slightly higher than expected, chat. Slightly higher than expected. Jobless claims came in at 238 versus 235 expected. Philly Fed index came in lower than expected. So everything came in lower than expected, except for jobless claims, which came in slightly higher than expected. Jobless claims 238 versus 235s. Philly Fed came in at 1.3 versus 4.8. Building permits came in at 1.386 million. Jobless claims came in at, again, 238 versus 235 expected. Here's the NASDAQ kind of sideways here on this report. Here's the SPY. And there's the rise. But It's kind of iffy. But again, everything basically came in lower than expected except for jobless claims showing economic weakness and higher people claiming to be out of work. Which again, I don't know what the market wants here. Nvidia still seems to be pumping up though. Nvidia's almost up to 141s. But we had a very underwhelming reaction, to be completely honest, to this report. It's a very neutral reaction here. Yeah, Nvidia's still moving up. It's almost the 141s though. Good for inflation, sure. Yeah, so all of this is good for inflation. All right, so lower manufacturing could signal I don't know, lower manufacturing could signal less supply and so more potential demand and inflation. That's could be. Housing starts showed up at 1.277 mil for May, so lower than the 1.37 mil expected. Building permits showed up at 1.386 versus 1.45 million expected. Philly Fed showed up again 1.3 versus 4.8. So all right, so I turned the music down a little bit, but yeah. All right, guys. What a way to start the morning. Yeah. So again, Nvidia dipped a little bit here. Part of me wants to buy this dip. The problem is like this, okay? So the real issue, the reason I'm usually willing to attack choppy, like by the bottom of this range here. The reason I'm less likely to do that now is because look at the gap up. So here's the SPY. Look at the huge gap up we have in the SPY. And so typically I can attack the range, but if we're so extended on the upside, remember at midnight last night, the S&P, the NASDAQ, everything kind of broke lifetime highs at midnight last night. And so things are already really extended overnight. What about the Dow? What's the Dow futures contract symbol? I always get it wrong. What's the Dow? Somebody help me out. What's the Dow? US 30? Yeah. I think that's right. No. Futures. What's the future symbol? No, that's not the future symbol. It's DIA. No. YM. That's what it is. It's YM. Yeah, so like here's the Dow. So here's the Dow. Let me look to see if it I'm seeing if it broke lifetime highs with the NASDAQ and the S&P this morning. So yeah, last night yeah, so it did, and the Dow did kind of the opposite, which is interesting. So here's midnight last night. No, this is noon yesterday, actually. I'm sorry. So here's midnight last night. So yeah, the Dow was breaking lifetime highs at midnight, just like everything else. So interesting here. I'm going to buy this dip. All right, so we cut it. We're up about $100, just kind of buying the dip. We might add back to it too. But yeah, the Dow broke lifetime highs at midnight last night as well. Also, chat, if you haven't already, again, check out Apex. Apex just announced an 80% off sale. What you see me day trading here is futures. So in the futures market, I can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow. Patterns are very similar to blue chip stocks patterns, and there's no PDT rule. Apex is one of the most legit funded programs. They paid out over $200 million to their traders in payouts. They fund thousands of traders. What you can do right now in Apex is you can get what Apex does is they give you a demo and they test your skill with the demo account. If you pass the test with the demo, they fund you the same amount. Right now, this one, and this one, the 150, 250, and 300,000 challenges are all about $40 right now. If you use my coupon code BT, they're all about $40 right now. And so again, in this one, they're going to give you a 150K demo. If you can make 9K in profit without losing 5K, a reasonable ratio, and following their rules, they fund you 150K with a 90% split. And so the split is similar to putting the money up yourself. Once you're funded, you keep 90%. But if you lose, you're out 40 bucks. It limits your risk. It's a great way to learn day trading because you're still risking something, but you're not risking the full extent of risking 4 or 5K and most likely losing that like most day traders do. It also includes real-time data, which is going to be pretty, like, it's going to cost roughly the same amount anyway. And so it's a good value, great way to learn how to day trade. You're still risking something. You know, you still get a 90% split if you're good enough to pass it, but if you fail it, you're only out 40 bucks. It's just a better way to learn day trading. And again, in day trading, you can day trade the NASDAQ, the S&P, the Dow, gold, commodities, just a good way to learn. And most pro day traders actually day trade futures anyway. And so again, if you want to check it out, here's the link. You can use coupon code BT to get that max discount. Understand they are a sponsor. They pay me money. I'm biased because they pay me money. But yeah, if you want to check them out, there's the link. Great way to help support the channel. Understand CFTC 4.41 as well. Hypothetical or simulated performance have limitations. Understand all that stuff. Chat. And yeah. Yeah, I mean, Sam, I've never heard of it, and I would be skeptical of these new pop-up ones, you know. The problem with most of those new ones is that, like, you're gonna have a hard time getting paid. The good thing about Apex is, like, they've paid out over 200 million, so they've been around a long time. They're one of the most legit. Again, if you want to... Should I put the music up? I can't even hear the music anymore. The Dow dipping down a little bit, too. Gold, how did gold react to this? Gold at 23.50s for gold. Oh, here, I didn't put the data up on screen. My bad. Here, let me put it up. So, yeah, again, the Philly Fed index came in low. Jobless claims came in 238 versus 235. I'll put this up. And then we'll add another one here with everything else. The Philly Fed index dropped also here. And again, stick around. We're going to day trade at the open. Housing starts showed up low. Building permits came in low. Philly Fed index came in low. Yeah, there's the report right there. Again, I'm probably going to buy this dip. We've been breaking down long enough. And I'll probably add a little bit to this too, since we do have a cushion that we can use. So we're going to trade with the cushion that we have on the day, see if we get a nice little gain here. I wanted to buy the dip, but looks like we're just going to keep on dipping. Yeah, I got to cut it. I can't risk that. That's a big drop. We just cracked lows again afterwards. And so I'm probably going to switch accounts. I don't want to give up. Usually my max loss is around 200 bucks, you know. Like, I don't want to risk more than 200 bucks per account, especially in these funded accounts. So I think that's the move. Let's see what GameStop does. GameStop's still over 24, so it's still holding some of its gains here. I think it could do better, though. AT&T. I don't like AT&T at all. AT&T, I think, like the problem with AT&T is simple business. Like business wise for AT&T, okay, you have to think about the change in competitors to AT&T, right? Like, what do I mean by that? What I mean is that um, AT&T historically they would lock you in long-term contracts, and that's where they made a lot of their money, is locking people into long-term, like bad contracts, right? So they'd lock you into bad contracts, and they would, profit from you long term, of course, based off of those terrible, like bad contracts. Well, at this point in time, like you don't need to lock yourself into a contract even just to get AT&T. Now they have prepaid month-to-month plans, where there's a lot of young companies offering month-to-month no contract based phone plans through AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and so I think AT&T is going to be around, but I think their margins are going to be worse, and I think their margins are going to continue to go down because it's kind of like DirecTV, Comcast like things where DirecTV, Comcast, they used to make money because people had to have cable boxes and satellites and stuff like that to get cable, right? Well, now you don't need any of that stuff anymore. You really don't. Like now you don't need any of that stuff anymore. You can do straight direct to streaming. And so that's going to completely change their business. And I think it's obviously just not good for them. So I think that's the problem, is that, yeah, I think people aren't going to use them anymore, unfortunately. All right, so we've had massive weakness coming through. I have a visible prepaid Verizon, pay only $35 a month. Right, for sure. You just don't need to lock yourself into like a really crappy contract with AT&T anymore like you used to. And I think the only people that are still doing that are kind of like either people that really need money, so like people that need like loans and upgrades and stuff like that because they just don't have enough money to buy things like that. And again, they're losing tons of money doing it, right? But they're doing it for the fast, easy access to technology, which they don't really have outside of it, or like older people who don't know any better. No offense, I think the older populations don't really know much better, and so they might lock themselves into these terrible long-term contracts because they're more susceptible to salesmen. But I still think, regardless of how you look at it, they're going to lose business. I think AT&T is going to lose business. I think a lot of these brands are going to lose business. I'm not investing in any cell phone carrier right now. I think there's too much competition, too much technology changes, too much contracts are going bye-bye. And so, yeah. All right, so we did get out, and we did end up making money in this account. We're up about $60 in it now. So are you saying Verizon, T-Mobile will go downhill? I mean, I don't know, man. I think they could. Again, I'm not saying for sure that anything's going to happen. I look at like probabilities. I try to look into the future and say, hey, what does this sector of business look like in 5 or 10 years? And I think when you look at AT&T objectively, I think that they're going to lose business because nobody needs to lock themselves into terrible contracts anymore. That part of business is done. Nobody needs to do it. Too many companies have sprouted up to compete with that. And so if they did, they're going to lose sales to other companies. And if they don't, they're going to lose margins anyway because those good contracts, those long-term terrible contracts are good for them because they make more money from it, right? Here's an example, okay? I was buying my daughter a cell phone, right? And so I went to the mall. And I go to AT&T, and I'm like, hey, I need a cell phone. And originally I was going to get a plan, right? I was going to get a plan. My wife was all behind it. I didn't really care either way that much. But they start saying, hey, well, what's your social? What's this? What's that? I want to see if you can get upgrades. I was like, I don't need upgrades. I can buy the phone. I don't need a phone. We just need service, they start needing all this information. They want me to sit there and do literally like 45 minutes worth of paperwork at AT&T. And so eventually my wife and I kind of looked at each other and we were like, nah, like, let's go. Like, we're not going to get this. Like, it's unnecessary. I shouldn't have to give you any of that stuff. And so what we did was we went to freaking Walgreens. We bought a prepaid card and we set my daughter up on a prepaid card month-to-month basis that just hits my card every month for $40 or whatever it is. Unlimited talk, text, and data. $40 a month. You know, so like, why in the world would anybody sign up to AT&T long-term contracts? It makes no sense. You know, the only reason to do it is if you don't have that much money and you are like addicted to technology where you want the newest and best phone, right? So you want them to loan you, and you're paying interest, a new phone basically, and you're gonna have to pay off that phone, and then you're gonna get a new one, and you're gonna have to pay off that one. That's the only real way the only justifiable way. I don't think it's justifiable, but that's the only way I think people are gonna opt to go into those long-term contracts instead of just doing month-to-month payments. Yeah, I mean, my wife and I were sitting there like, dude, like read the room. Like, we don't want to give you my social. I don't want to give you my social security number. Like, we don't need to. We could go to Walgreens and get a cheaper deal than what you're offering us with no contract. So, like, I get it. The salesman's trying to make more commissions, but again, eventually that's going to happen more and more. People are going to get more and more discouraged from that, and you just don't need to do it anymore. And I think that is bad for AT&T, you know, I think it's bad for AT&T. Now, they got other parts of their business. I think they have cable services. But again, I think cable services are going out the window too. I don't think you need cable services anymore either. And so, you know, they have internet, they have cable, but I think those are going to lose interest over time as well as people move more and more to streaming services online now instead of. Yeah, I mean, Russell, I'm going to talk about whatever I want to talk about. If something rubbed you the wrong way, brother, you know, you'll be all right. This is Market Talk. We're talking about AT&T stock and why I think that their stock is going to go down long term. AMC up to 480s. Guys, we'll see what happens there. In my opinion, when boomers are gone, no one will have cable. Maybe. Maybe. I know we don't have cable. Like, we're not. Again, the question, though, Comcast is such a big company now. Like, if you look at Comcast stock, I can't remember what their symbol was. But, yeah, my guy Russell's probably the AT&T rep we're talking about. No, it was a girl, but no. Either that or he's super heavy in AT&T. Yeah, there's always one. With that said, AT&T's green on the year. I mean, AT&T has got one of the worst downtrends though. They're green on the year. So like, look. So here's a yearly chart. So you look at this, you might say, "Oh, that's nice." Put up a weekly chart. Like, look at a weekly chart on AT&T. They have been in a downtrend since 2016. Probably when they started getting more of those little pop-up. Yeah. Probably when they started getting prepaid month-to-month devices. I mean, jobless claims came out slightly higher than expected. You can see it right below me. No timer for what? Jobless claims are already out, guys. They're right below me. Right here in big, bold letters. Jobless claims. Yeah, my wife and I were talking about it though. So here's the funny part about it is that people left cable to avoid commercials originally. That was like the marketing point. It's like people left cable to avoid commercials. People left cable, signed up for these streaming services when they had no commercials. There were no commercials in these streaming services for years. Eventually, streaming kills cable because of no commercials and a lot of other reasons. And then once cable's basically at its end, what happens? Streaming services start adding commercials to the streams. I think that's a funny look at, you know, capitalism. But yeah, that really is happening. Like, you see it with Hulu now, So it's interesting. Nvidia's still up at 140.50s here. You know, the market has gone down a little bit, but it's already up so much. You know, you got to look at the market. Like here's a monthly chart. So again, the market is up so much overnight last night. Like at midnight last night, market was breaking highs. All the way early morning this morning, market was breaking highs. NASDAQ, S&P, Dow, all breaking highs midnight last night. We did get a pullback from profit taking now. The question is, do we bounce now? Are we at the bottom here? I don't know. I'll buy this dip and see what happens. But again, this is an old account. I mean, it depends on what bonds you look at. Quad witching is tomorrow. Hey guys, the jobless claims numbers are already out. They came out at 8:30. It is now 8:52. They're out already, guys. Numbers are out. Again, look right here. There's jobless claims. Like I'm weathermanning this, but like, you know, look in this general area. Jobless claims 238K versus 235K expected. Philly Fed index all the way on the other side over there, and then underneath jobless claims, you can see the 1.3 level for the business index. So yeah, they're already out, chat. They're already out. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. Take the profit. Yeah, the big problem, people don't need new phones, man. Like, you can see how susceptible people are to sales and technology and money spending. Because, dude, you don't need a new phone every year. There's literally no difference between this year and last year's phone. You know, they say, oh, AI. Dude, you could use AI. You could download ChatGPT, the app, and just have instant access to AI on your phone in 5-year-old phones. You know, and so there's virtually no difference between a smart. The only way you should do it is if you have the money to do it. Like if you make, you know, 200K plus, buy a phone if you want to buy a phone. It doesn't matter either way. But you certainly don't need a new phone every year. That's a ridiculous standard to try to keep up with when phones cost $1,000 a phone, more than that, $1,500 a phone for some of them. You know, I recently got a new phone here. You know, I got the Z Fold. You know, I got the Z4. But prior to this, I had insurance, and insurance sent me this phone for free because my other one broke. Prior to that, though, I had a Z Fold 1 that I was using. This happened within the last year. I had a Z Fold 1. So my phone was 4 years old. I don't buy a new phone every year. I don't need a new phone every year. They're all basically the same thing anyway. And so, you know, the problem is, like, a lot of people say, oh, things are too expensive. Things are too expensive. But people are just living way above their means. Like you got to live within your means. Like, if you don't make money like that, you're going to have to, like, you shouldn't. Another thing is, like, you see people buying brand new cars. Like, you don't need brand new cars. Like, that's a ridiculous thing. Nobody's ever going to be able to afford that. Everybody wants to flex and look rich when they're not. But I think the problem is that you got to live within your means. You got to, you know, you're not going to be able to get a brand new car. Like, people are financing brand new cars at like 20, making 30, 40K a year. You're going to be in long-term debt. That car is going to depreciate wildly as soon as you drive it off the lot. You know, you're locking yourself into long-term debt. It just, you know, people live above their means. Now, I'm not saying things are good. Inflation has been rough the last 5 years. It really has. Inflation's been bad. But it's easier if you live within your means. Yeah, my mom has like the cheapest smartphone ever, and she does just fine. I mean, granted, it's my mom, but yeah. Thanks, one said. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, man. Quad witching is tomorrow. It's a historical day of volatility in which all 4 major contract types expire same day, but there isn't 4 contract types anymore. There's no such thing as stock futures, and so it's index futures, index options, and stock options all expire tomorrow. So, you know. Did you ever try to switch to Apple? No, not really. All right, guys, market is down. We have been day trading a decent amount today. The Razor, huh? Yeah, again, it depends on how much you make, G. He said my bill's only an extra $20 a month. Yeah, but that's $140, or that's $240 extra a month, you know, or a year. I mean, that's 240 extra bucks a year. It just depends on how you look at things. It depends on how much money you make as well, you know. Like, to me, that's not very much, but people making 30 grand a year, I mean, it's all based off of percentages of your income. $20-year bonds taking a mad hit. You talking about the yields or prices? What's the TLT? Yeah, you're talking about prices. Yeah, prices down, yields are up. If you look at like T and X as an example. Yields are up, prices are down. Also, guys, if you haven't already, you can also guys, if you haven't already, you can check out TopStep. TopStep is one of the other like great funded account programs. They've been around for a long time. Also, a little bit different set. So right now you get the 50K one for a little bit under $50 a month. Profit target of 3K. If you can take 5 contracts max loss limit of 2K. So it's a 2 to 3 ratio, a reasonable ratio. They've got a lot of good stuff, and you can get a pretty good discount if you use my link for TopStep as well. Again, they're an affiliate of mine, so they pay me money as well. So of course I'm biased, but again, pretty useful. There's different rules, so you can check to see which one you like more. You know, each of them does have different rules and different standards, you know, and all that good stuff. And so again, with TopStep right now, profit target's 3K, 5 contracts. Yeah. And so there's different rules. See which one you like more. Again, here's the TopStep page if you want to check out the rules that they have also. But again, they're an affiliate of mine, so check them out right there. Palantir. I'm in Palantir. I hope Palantir goes up. Palantir's doing great. So it looks like me holding. I was thinking about selling Palantir, but I stayed in it. It looks like it was the right move. Yeah, I don't know about Hawaii Electric. I traded at Apex yesterday. My account still reflects yesterday's profit. I'm not sure, Chuck. Reach out to them, brother. Check their Discord, you know. Tesla's going to move until their earnings. Yeah, so earnings season's coming up in about an hour. Or not an hour. Earnings season coming up in about a month from now. So you can always tell when earnings season starts based off of bank earnings, right? Tesla's usually one of the first companies that drop earnings. We did have some earnings today. Kroger, Aurora Cannabis came out with some earnings. Winnebago. What else we got this week? Next week. Yeah, we're still in the slow time for earnings. Nothing really big. General Mills, Paycheck. So we do have MU earnings. BlackBerry earnings. Nothing really big enough for me to cover. Walgreens. Nike. On the 27th of June. So yeah, the real big boy earnings start to drop. July 12th is when bank earnings come out. So, yeah. So bank earnings on Friday, Wells Fargo, Citigroup. Goldman Sachs. We'll see what this next earnings season looks like. Netflix earnings drop July 18th. Amex. Yeah, let's see if Tesla's is scheduled yet. July 23rd. I don't think they're scheduled yet though, but yeah. Tesla falling down some here. NVIDIA annual meeting Wednesday, yeah, for sure. Oh wait, is it next Wednesday? On the 26th? Jobless claims didn't. I mean, the market went down. I don't know if they're from jobless claims or not, but the market did fall somewhat. Apple today. Where's Apple at? Apple's down some, but it's had a pretty good couple weeks, so I mean it's not a surprise to see it pull back some here. Trades after 6 p.m. will show on today's P&L. Okay, yeah. All right, so let's watch GameStop. GameStop at 24s. All right, chat. Let me know if you think the market's going to go up, down at the opening bell. Let me see what the market gives us. All right, so yeah, jobless claims came out. All right. Nvidia short, long, I'm not sure. Can you explain the Philly Fed manufacturing index numbers? Is that good or bad? Good or bad is subjective. So the Philly Fed index, what it actually is, it measures business conditions in manufacturing. Above 0 indicates improving manufacturing conditions. Below 0 indicates worsening conditions. So basically, the number expected was 4.8, which signals improving manufacturing conditions. Now, this can have a lot of nuance towards inflation and economic stuff. Higher manufacturing signals more products and potentially less inflation, because the more products that are out there, the more supply, the less demand, the lower prices is essentially what it can mean. It could also mean economic growth, because the more businesses that are manufacturing, the more the economy can potentially grow. And so you can look at it a lot of different ways. Expected to show up at 4.8, it showed up much weaker for manufacturing. So in general, the data showed much weaker manufacturing numbers. 1.3 versus 4.8. So still strength in manufacturing, but not as much strength as initially expected is what this means. My biggest concern is the latest iteration of full self-driving beta has some quirks that weren't on issues previously. In return, though, the wheel nag is completely gone as long as the eye tracking can see you. Yeah, all good. At some point, Elon is promising to remove the wheel altogether. When that happens, it had better be ready. Yeah, for sure. Because again, the reel is kind of like, you got to be, if it starts to mess up, you can grab the wheel and be okay. So yeah, I get that. Yeah, Nvidia dipping down under the 200 EMA. So Nvidia's starting to fall. I think it's funny how the Fed wants the economy to be not good in order to cut rates. I don't understand any of it. In my opinion, it is better to have an economy humming with close to full employment. Yeah, I mean, no offense, but I don't know if you necessarily understand it. So this is the way you have to look at it. All right. So like for people that don't understand economics, you might think that like a thriving economy is always good, right? And I understand thinking that, but that's not always true. Okay. An example of this is like anytime spending happens excessively, inflation spikes. Okay, so depending on where inflation is at any moment in time, is gonna dictate what the Fed and what the Fed wants for the economy. Basically, a thriving economy is not always good because too thriving of an economy for too long can cause massive inflation spikes. And so, like an example of this is in 2020, the Fed stepped in and they brought interest rates down. You know, they brought interest rates down. The Federal Reserve will influence interest rates to keep a balanced economy. If the economy's at risk for recession and depression and stuff like that, basically too little people working and too little spending occurring, then the Fed will bring interest rates down because the less people are paying in interest and mortgages and lending and auto loans, the more they're able to spend on other things, and it contributes to more spending overall, the lower the interest rates are. And so after 2020, the Fed was worried about the economy, and so they stepped in and they brought interest rates down. They printed money, they stimulated spending, and the consequence was massive inflation. You know, because spending increased so much, payrolls were higher, and it ultimately helped save the economy after 2020 and the pandemic to a certain extent. But the consequences, inflation spiked up to 10%. And so if the economy was thriving all the time, then prices would go up to an unsustainable level, you know. And that's what happened. After 2020, the Fed stepped in, they brought interest rates down, they contributed to more spending, they printed money, because that's how you bring interest rates down drastically, like with what's called quantitative easing, a form of money printing where the Fed creates online reserves and buys bonds with it, mostly is what quantitative easing is. But the point is, after they did that, inflation spiked up to 10%, which is very high, very high. Prices went up, prices skyrocketed. And if you hear what people are really unhappy with over the last 5 years, most of them are unhappy with prices. They're saying prices are up too much, prices are up too much, prices are too high, prices are too high, right? And so we can't deal with that all the time. Like if that wasn't an issue, if that wasn't a factor, the Fed would just keep the economy thriving at all times, right? But that is a factor. Inflation's a problem. And if inflation, the problem with inflation on the other end is that once prices go up, they don't go back down, you know, so prices will go up. They're not coming back down. The best we can do is slow inflation down. The Fed's goal and target for inflation is 2%, which means that the Fed wants to slow down inflation to only going up 2% on the year. And so we can't just never-endingly print money, stimulate spending, keep interest rates down for a thriving economy, because the inflation that's going to occur from that is going to be really detrimental. And so the Fed will step in and combat both sides. If inflation is out of control, they'll bring interest rates up. They'll what's called a rate hike. They will raise interest rates to consumers. Because by increasing interest rates, people spend less. When you're paying more money in a mortgage or loans and auto financing or whatever it is, you got less money to spend. So you're going to spend less, and that's going to combat inflation. And that's kind of where we're at now, where the Fed's keeping interest rates high. They raised rates really aggressively for years, and now they're pausing rates at these high levels to try to discourage spending and push the economy down some so that inflation gets better, right? Like that's where we are. That's why with jobless claims numbers, higher jobless claims numbers can be interpreted as a positive. Maybe not right now, but it's one of the reasons like high payroll numbers caused a negative reaction in the last payroll report. Because economic growth's not good. The Fed's trying to push it down right now to combat inflation. And so, you know, you got to basically a thriving economy is not always good. You know, you have to equally fear inflation to keep it balanced. Can y'all not hear the music? You should be able to hear it. Y'all can't hear the music? I mean, I turned it down a little bit. I'll turn it back up. Let me know if you can hear it now. Sometimes recessions are good because the price of things go down, including stocks. Yeah, but not in any significant, impactful way. Like, look, if I put up a CPI graph over the last 20 plus years, right? Like, look, so that is true. Here's CPI inflation. That is true. Like, it did go down for a very small period of time, but not long enough to cause any noticeable impact. And you can see pretty shortly afterwards, you know, prices spiked right back. You know, this is where we're at now, where inflation is sitting right around 3.5%, 3%, depending on whether you look at PCE inflation or CPI inflation. But yeah, we're right around 3.5%, 3.7%, 3.1%. So, I mean, but again, you can kind of see what we're talking about here, which is that after 2020, inflation spiked, got really out of control from the Fed stepping in here and bringing interest rates down. The consequence was inflation spiked because more people spent money. And never-ending spending is not always good. Thus, a thriving economy is not always the best thing in the world. It typically is good, but it depends on where inflation's at. Don't prices go up because of a lack of competition? Maybe in some isolated places, sure, and it can. That certainly is one reason prices go up. But that's not the reason they went up after 2020. The reason they went up after 2020 is because, like, lending was cheap. People spent money. You know, an example of this, if you isolated that, I always bring up is Rolex prices. Okay, now maybe like Rolex prices, luxury goods, like Louis Vuitton prices. After 2020, interest rates went down. You know, you can also look at real estate, right? So 2020 happened, and interest rates were already low. The Fed stepped in, they brought them really down. And so, you know, real estate agents thrived. Mortgage brokers love life. They made way more money than they ever had because interest rates were so freaking cheap and the housing market was booming, right? And so they made more money. So they spent it on luxury goods. They spent it on Rolexes and Louis Vuitton purses and, you know, whatever. Real estate agents thrived. They spent their money on those things. Lenders thrived in general. They spent their money on those things. People got stimulus checks, and so they spent their money on things, right? And Rolex prices doubled in that period of time following 2020. Rolex prices went from, like, I'm a watch guy, right? So if I look at, so if we look at Rolex prices here, all right, here's 2020, okay? Average price for a Rolex in 2020 was about, maybe not doubled. Yeah, so the average price for Rolex in 2020 was $20,000 roughly. Can y'all see that? Average price for a Rolex in 2020 was about 20K, right? After the pandemic, with inflation, they popped up to 40K. Doubled, right? They've since corrected back down a little bit here, where the average price is now about 25K. But, you know, prices spike, more spending. Anytime more spending happens, prices go up. Yeah. All right, look at the NASDAQ. I'm going to buy this dip again. I think we're down enough. We're heading into the opening bell. We're running into support, so let's see if we get a pop. All right, so we're up 45 bucks, 75, 80, 100. I'm gonna add to this. Risky bet, but again, I've got this account to lose. It's been sitting long enough to where I can. All right, I'm gonna take half of it off here. Not the best fill, but we did lock in that profit, which is good. Well, we could also add back if we want to. GameStop's starting to rise. It's back over the 200 EMA. All right, we're going to add back, fix our average here, see if we get a retracement back up. Let's see what NVIDIA does here. So, NVIDIA's fallen all the way under VWAP 200 EMA levels. There we go, we're back flat here. Yeah, we made a couple $100 on our last trade, so if we lose $200, we're going to be flat over our last couple. I want to give it time, though. I think we've dropped enough. It just depends on what... I think NVIDIA is such a heavily influence here. See if we can pop up a little bit. There we go. All right, we just took half off, locked it in. Look at NVIDIA spike. Yeah, so there goes NVIDIA. So we're up $100 here. I want to see if it goes a little bit more. Although NVIDIA is hitting that 200 EMA. Actually, I'm just going to cut it. Yeah, we'll take that off. Alright, so look at Nvidia continue to rise here. I don't know if I should buy this again or what. What? Chat GPT just sent me a very weird thing. All right, so we're still down. Nvidia rejected the VWAP 200 EMA. All right, so we're still flushing down here. All right, guys, here's the opening bell. Ouch, dude, that was loud on my head, on my ear, dude. All right, so there's the opening bell. Look at GameStop spike here, chat. GameStop spiking, Nvidia dipping some here on this report. Interesting. All right, chat. I turned my music down all the way. GameStop spiking up. Nvidia dumped a lot at the open. Not a lot, but a little bit actually. Uber's up. Nvidia down. Salesforce is up. Yeah, Nvidia's falling here. It was tomorrow, I think, Tim. About the options. Look at Nvidia continue to fall. Look at the NASDAQ coming back down. Again, the NASDAQ is up so much here, though. All right, we're going to buy this. And we're probably going to add a little bit to this as well. Here we go. Very close to cutting this. We built up a cushion, and so I don't want to go too crazy with it. Okay, now we're back up. I took some pop profit at the top. Down again, so we're kind of flat over this last trade, but we lost some for sure here. I'm watching NVIDIA closely is what I'm doing. I could add to this and try to, again, I don't mind swinging forward on this account because this account has been sitting for a while, and so it's just kind of wasting away. We'll add to it, see if that helps. All right, NVIDIA started to bounce back, starting to move up. Let's see if it fights its way back. It's right around the volume weighted average price. GameStop came all the way back down. GameStop, again, did Roaring Kitty's options expire tomorrow? Yeah, we're going to have to cut this. So just too big of a drop. We're going to switch accounts now. I took a little risk in this one, but... You know, you got to remember the market is actually up a ton. And so the market's up a bunch overnight. Like way more than the market's down. So we'll just have to wait. Yeah, he might have sold him. I don't know. Is ChatGPT down for you guys? I thought. Yeah, he might have exercised it. They were for the 21st. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm going to try to buy this here. See if we catch a pop. There we go. Up 115s. Could have held in that. Look at GameStop still testing 2450s here.
Now a big dip. I'm gonna buy this. See if we could pop up a little bit more. We kind of retrace. I don't want to add to it. We could kind of play with the money we built on profit on the day. There we go. $20. Flat again. There we go. We're back to green. Nice. We just made a little bit more there. And this other account that we were trading on Quant Tower, we actually just went green on the day, kind of day trading it. Sometimes you'll see me trade off stream just because it's freaking stressful. But I think we went green. We're either green or close to green. All right, now we're up a bunch. It depends on what Nvidia does here. We're getting kind of choppy action. So see if market comes down or what. Nvidia's starting to rise is what I see though. See if Nvidia comes back up or down. Depends on if it rejects the 200 EMA or not. I'm gonna short this, kind of risky. Back to flat. There we go. Back to flat again. Undecisive, although Nvidia is shooting up. I'm going to cut this just because Nvidia is starting to rise too much. I could have maybe held it, actually. I could have held it. It's all right. Question is, do we get choppiness? Look at Nvidia break highs. So Nvidia up to over 140s. GameStop coming all the way back down. Green for the day, yeah. GameStop down 2%. Intel daily chart. Yeah, we're actually back green on the day, mostly from Nvidia, but Intel daily. Intel's been so flat, dude. Yeah, maybe accumulation, I don't know. It's just been so sideways. Very difficult to trade. Or I'm invested in it, but it's just so flat. I don't know what to do with it. It's not a huge position, though, to be honest. We're basically flat on the trade. All right, I'm gonna take a swing here. It might be a bad move, but hopefully it's a good move and we make some money on it. I'll take profit quick if we get into it. There we go. I'm hoping this resistance level acts here in the NASDAQ. You can see I'm day trading on Apex's funded account program. They give you a demo. They test your skill with the demo account first. If you pass the test with the demo, they fund you between 25K up to 300K. For the current time, the 150K, 250, and 300K challenges are only 40 bucks right now. So you get them for 40 bucks. They give you a demo. They test your skill with that demo. If you can pass the test, they fund you, again, 150, 250, or 300K. If you fail the test, You only lose what you pay for it, which in this case is 40 bucks. It's the best of both worlds. It's limited risk, but if you're good enough to pass it, you get a 90% split once you're funded. Apex passed 200 million in actual payouts as well. So they paid out over 200 million to their traders. They funded thousands of traders. It's just a great way to learn day trading. So yeah, we ended up getting completely churned against here. Giving back our profit on the day, but you know, it's how it goes. I can't get too upset. But again, if you want to check out Apex, I'll put the link up. Great way to help support the channel. This is an account we're up a lot in this account already. So $130 loss. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, if you want to check it out, there's the link. Use coupon code BT if you want the max discount. They are a sponsor of mine, and so I am biased, of course, because they pay me money. You know, so I'm gonna be biased in their favor because of that. Honestly, I'm just surprised the market's up so much today on what a bearish day. You know. But I do trade all stream. You're not going to see all my trades. Understand CFTC 4.41, hypothetical or simulated performance, have limitations, all that good stuff. GameStop coming back down a little bit here as well. Yeah, the data came out at 8:30 Eastern. Yeah, we are getting rises. I don't know if I want to play with it, man. Again, we're just up so much. I'm skeptical of buying up here. That's why I was shorting it mostly. And that's why I thought I could take the risk, but Again, if you want to see what this profit graph looks like, including today's loss, check it out. I'll put it up on screen so you can see what today's profit graph looks like. Or not today, but this month. So honestly, this is one of my better accounts too. So we are running. We've been doing pretty good at like risk management. So hold on, I'm trying to show you this. We're doing pretty good at risk management, right? So we have been running. Like today's actually one of our larger losses that we've ever had in this account. So we've been running roughly 71% accuracy. You can kind of see this is one of our larger little drawdowns here. But outside of that, like we've been doing pretty good. We've been doing pretty good, keeping our losses small, our wins, you know, pretty good. We've been winning. You can see how our accuracy, like look at how many more green candles there are than red candles. Now some of these red candles are larger than some of these green ones, but we've been doing pretty good. Like we've been keeping it pretty nice and tight, good accuracy. So also for my last sponsor, check out Chart Prime. Chart Prime is a trading view service you can use in stocks, crypto, forex, futures, anything with a symbol on trading view, you can use them. And again, it's just a great way to see what might be moving, see what trends are there. You know, I really like the market oracle on Apex. So if I put this up, like here's Apex, or I'm sorry, here's Chart Prime. I really like the market oracle, but the market dynamics is really cool as well. So what this does is custom trading view signals. You can use anything. You can use it with anything with a symbol on trading view. You can use it on. And honestly, if you look at today's, like check this out. Like look at the sell signal way up here on today's price action, way up here. Sell signal there. Look at the huge breakdown we followed it with. Buy signals. Look at this strong signal show up here. Can y'all see that? Let me make sure you can see it. Yeah, look at that buy signal way back here. Huge follow through. This is a 5-minute chart as well. So this is like 5-6 hours of action. And anything with the time frame, you can use it on. Sell signal there. You got a little follow through. Buy signal there. Look at the follow through bounce. This one probably didn't work. This one, it looks like we got a little rip. This one, we got a breakdown. This one probably didn't work. Look at that sell signal show you the top. And you can see it changes colors on the chart when you're in a trend, right? So you can see sell signal here. You can see the trend is red. Strong buy signal there. You can see the trend is green. And again, it's not going to work always. Like you got to test it yourself. Sometimes it's not going to work. You can use a 1-minute chart. I don't really try the 1-minute chart very much. So if you like scalping, day trading, I mean, this looks pretty legit most of the morning. So like the key is you wait for the volatile parts of the day. Right, so you wait for the volatile parts. Look at the buy signal show up there. Beautiful bounce. Strong sell signal. Nice little dip. Strong buy signal follow through. Sell signal. Beautiful drop. This one didn't work. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 out of 5 looks like worked there. But again, you got to wait for the volatile times. That's a 1-minute chart. I really don't trade it that much. I know I like the hourly chart signals as well. So here's an hourly chart. Every candle represents an hour.
Is it not letting me look back? I might need to update my reload this. There we go. All right. So here's an hourly chart, right? Just to show you. The hourly one's legit impressive too, man. Like, look at this. So, okay, let's look back just at the last three. I think some of these worked as well, but like, look, strong buy signal. Literal days of follow through. Sell signal here, days of red action. Buy signal here, days of green action. This one didn't work. And so again, we started off right here. This one didn't work. This one definitely worked. Look at the rising wedge. You can see here, this one didn't work as well. But look at the strong buy signal, beautiful bounce. All right, so let's calculate this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 out of 7 didn't work. 5 out of 7 worked. So almost 75% accuracy on a daily chart, as well as like, you look at the wedge breakout here. So here's the wedge. Look at the follow through breakout. Great community of traders here as well. And so again, check them out. Here's the link. They are a sponsor. They pay me money. I'm biased. Test it yourself. I can't guarantee anything, but check them out. Great way to check it out. Yeah, there's the link. Tomorrow, quad witching day. Y'all be ready. Hey, I love you all. Y'all have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow bright and early here, chat. Bright and early tomorrow morning. Y'all have a safe and happy weekend if I don't see you before then. But yeah, check them out. Great way to help support your boy here on this channel. Good luck.